Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my full review of the Zelos Hammerhead version 2, the latest watch from the Singaporean micro brand. Definitely one of my favourite micro brands. Indeed, Zelos, I think, has a cult following, and I do mean a cult following. If you're a member of the Facebook group, the Zelos Facebook group, you'll know what I mean. There are people there who have vast collections consisting only of Zelos and are almost frothing at the mouth for these new models when they're released. And in some ways that's understandable. I think Zelos know very much what they're doing as a brand. They've got a strong, bold, modern and consistent design language across the range. Short runs that sell out pretty much every time, and this being the Mark II, I think we're on to the Mako Mark IIIs coming up as well. They're always improving the models between runs as well. There are some noticeable improvements between this new Hammerhead V2 and the old one. And Zelos are pushing the boundaries in terms of their use of materials as well. The last one I reviewed was the Swordfish version 2, featuring a forged carbon dial. Just gorgeous. And I've got a forged carbon hammerhead to show you as well today. I've also got the one on my wrist. It's big, it's bronze, it's got a meteorite dial, and it's also got a micro brand first, a meteorite bezel inlay. Now that's not something you see every day, is it? To be clear, this video is sponsored by Zelos. They sent me both of these watches for free and I don't have to return them. Don't just take my word for it though. I'm sure you'll see the Hammerhead popping up on all your favourite YouTube channels over the next few weeks. Let's flip the camera and have a look at these two. So two Hammerhead 2s to show you today. I've got a Seiko NH35 powered bronze one with double meteorite, and I have got an ETA 2892 powered stainless steel one with the forged carbon dial. But I'm getting slightly ahead of myself. Let's reel it back a little bit and have a look at the Zelos website. I will obviously leave a link to this one in the description of the video. Zelos offer all of their watches at a launch special price until a certain date, at which point the price goes up until stock sells out. That date for the Hammerhead 2 is the 1st of January, so you have about another week to give yourself an extra treat for Christmas if you want to pick one of these up at the launch special price. Now the launch special price is $369 for the NH35 powered bronze version or the NH35 powered stainless steel version on an all stainless steel bracelet. Prices for the forged carbon dials creep into the 400s. You're into the 500s if you want the Seiko powered one with the meteorite dial. Shifting gears again, if we go for the ETA 2892, which is a cracking Swiss made auto, you're into the 500s for the base models, 600s for the meteorite, topping out at $799 for the double meteorite dial versions in either material. All watches come nicely packaged in a proper wooden box containing what is, I believe, a PU leather watch roll. If you've seen any review of a Zelos anywhere, you'll have seen one of these before. A nice little set altogether. You get a 1-year warranty. Now I complain about this every time with Zelos. Really they should be offering a 2-year warranty on these autos, but until they change that, I'm going to complain about them in this video as well. And this is the stainless steel packaging. It also comes with a rubber strap. So you get the rubber strap with the rubber strap version with the bronze case, and you get a bonus rubber strap if you do indeed opt for the stainless steel. Pretty good value overall if you just want one of the Seiko powered ones for $369. But my God, you had better be ready for a big watch, because that's what you get. 44.3mm in diameter, 18 millimeters thick. This thing is an absolute beast, and yet only 47.5mm lug tip to lug tip. So they've gone the Seiko route in some ways. Keeping that very compact lug to lug dimension means that even guys with smaller wrists will be able to get away with this one if they want to, but there are some fearsome dimensions here. 22mm lug width is fairly standard, no taper on the bracelet, back up to about 23.5 at the clasp. Now, sized up for my 7-inch wrist, the stainless steel one weighs in at, drumroll please, 243 grams. This is the heaviest watch that I have ever reviewed on the channel. It is a proper unit. Now the bronze one on the rubber strap does take some weight off. It weighs in at 175 grams. I'd imagine the stainless steel head version on the rubber strap will weigh somewhere close to that as well. So be prepared. You better like your watches big, chunky and heavy if you want to pick yourself up one of these Hammerheads. Finishing on the Hammerhead, the stainless steel version anyway, is fantastic. I've talked about this before. There's the kind of top tier elite level micro brands all coming out of the same factory. I reckon there's 5 or 6 brands that I know of that all use the same factory, and as a consequence the machining on the stainless steel is fantastic. Look at that bezel. Precision machined, very, very nice indeed. So it is all brushed here, but we've got a couple of different treatments. You can see a midline, a distinct kind of midline in the case. There's a kind of rough brush below and a very fine brush atop, with the crown kind of splitting the difference. That is a loomed crown, by the way, with an insert matching the ceramic bezel insert. Details on this watch for $369 if you opt for the Seiko powered one, I think well beyond the norm. Bracelet is all brushed as well, chunky little links. There's a little bit of flex there for comfort, but not too much. Proper screw links as well, which is great to see at the entry level price. Now the clasp on this one, you've got the Zelos Z punched through there, fold over with security pushers, and is a proper milled clasp with a decent number of micro adjust holes. 4 micro adjust holes in the side there. No diver's extension, but I guess when they include a rubber strap, that's the argument there. If you are going to get this one wet, put it over a wetsuit, you pop it on the rubber. More sensible all round really. Now case finishing on the bronze model is the same. I mean, all the dimensions are exactly the same here. It's still got that midline, 2 slightly different textures, but don't worry, that'll be barely noticeable over the coming weeks and months as this one begins to patina and tarnish nicely. I reckon this was used for press shots. It didn't come to me vinyl wrapped, plastic wrapped, so it has got a bit of age on it already. It's certainly not as shiny as the last Hammerhead that I reviewed, but that's no bad thing. Gives you an idea of what this one will look like with a bit of wear and tear on it. Helium escape valve on the side opposite the crown. 1,000 meters of water resistance with this one, hence why it is such a thick and chunky case. So same case dimensions, but different case back depending on which of the 2 movements you opt for. This is the screw down stainless steel case back that you get when you opt for the Seiko NH35, regardless of which of the 2 materials you go for. Usual spec sheet, Zelos Hammerhead to 1,000 meters, and a nice picture of a couple of Hammerhead sharks there. Obviously stainless steel rather than bronze, so you don't get that green ring on your hand, and also helping with allergies and things. If you opt for the 2892 powered version, you get a see-through case back, sapphire crystal there so you can see the movement in action, and it's sterile. I cannot remember the last time I saw a micro brand with a sterile case back. If you want to add the usual spec sheet yourself, you can do. You can scratch it in with a screwdriver, I'm sure, but there it is. Now the 2892 is a sister movement to the 2824, also by ETA, but generally it runs a little better. It's also slimmer, 3 millimeters in thickness, making it one of the slimmest mass-produced movements on the market. Somewhat ironic then that they put it in an 18mm behemoth. You can see the gap there. There's a couple of mil spare on the case back. They didn't quite need to make this one 18mm thick. I'm sure they could have taken a couple of mil off it without compromising the structural integrity or the water resistance rating. But there you are. So 21 dual hacking and hand winding Swiss Auto this one, 50-hour power reserve, so you get an extra 10 hours or so over a 2824. Let's get this one on the time grapher. I think it's the first 2892 that I've reviewed on the channel. Yeah, that's all right then. I appreciate this is one watch in one position on one time grapher, but that bodes well for the 2892. Undoubtedly the smoothest hand wind I have ever felt on any watch at any price. I had to check a couple of times that I was actually manually winding the movement. It's that smooth. Bezel action on both of these watches is excellent. Super chunky, clunky and precise 120 click. No backplay, no bounce. Really, this thing is very, very nicely done, nicely machined, nicely manufactured, nicely made as a whole. That is a ceramic bezel insert if you do opt for this one with the forged carbon dial, and it is pumped full of loom. I'll put the loom video up now. This is the forged carbon dial version, heaps of C3 and BGW9 Superluminova. Bit of a Zelos specialty is that they use two-toned loom with their watches, and it just hangs on and hangs on and hangs on and hangs on. Likewise, this is the bronze version, again using the same two-tone loom, and it does just as good a job of hanging on in there as the loom on the stainless steel version. Oh, and before I forget, loomed crown as a bonus. But let's get zoomed in and have a look at these two dials then, because that's where I think a lot of the interest lies today, with the forged carbon here and the meteorite on the other one. So we have Hammerhead 2, 1000 meters, printed there above the date complication at 6. Nicely integrated date complication with colour match date wheels on both of these models. Much better than hacking out the date window at the 3 o'clock. We have applied baton indices, a large one at the 12, the 3 and the 9, and smaller indices all the way around the other hour markers. Now they're semi-recessed into a rehaut chapter ring. One change from the Hammerhead one is they've added Arabics at the 5-minute markers to the rehaut chapter ring, making the dial perhaps a little bit less clean, but a little bit easier to read if you do intend to use this one as a hardcore dive watch, which is the intended purpose after all. Hands are big and clearly legible, even against this constantly shifting forged carbon dial. And I do like that second hand paddle, second hand in bright yellow, pushing all the way out to the edge of the minute track there, with a little red tip just matching the print above the date frame. Everything I said about the stainless steel version applies to the bronze version, but instead of having silver hands and applied indices, you're looking at rose gold coloured ones to match this bronze case here as well. And the real interest with this one, I think, is that meteorite bezel insert to match the piece of meteorite on the dial. Now, like the forged carbon, every one of these watches will be slightly different to every other one. They're unique in terms of the patterning. All of those little stripy patterns on the meteorite. I worried that it might look a bit excessive, but I think it just about gets away with it. And let's be honest, you're not going to be buying a Hammerhead 2 if excessive is a problem for you, are you? So let's get these two rather chunky big things on wrist then. I have got an average 7-inch wrist. That's what it looks like on me, the stainless steel one. Now I have to say, because of the relatively short lug to lug of less than 48, it wears all right. So if you do like a really big and chunky watch, but you only have average size wrists, then this could be the one for you. Nice weight distribution across the bracelet and clasp. It's quite a big chunky clasp. I'll talk about the clasp slightly later on as well. But all of you guys that leave comments when I review a 40mm watch that say, "That's not a man's watch, that's a lady's watch," this could be the one for you. This is definitely towards your end of the spectrum anyway. And there is the appreciably lighter, but still not what I would call discreet, bronze one, sticking up 18mm from my wrist. Big matching CUSN8 marine grade bronze buckle on this one as well. Now, 7-inch wrist, I'm already at the second smallest hole on here. I can maybe wear it one looser, but do bear that in mind if you are a fan of big chunky watches but you have a smaller wrist than I do. You might already be on the smallest hole on the rubber strap. Outside in some natural light, there's a lot of fun to be had with these dial variants as well. I do like a bit of meteorite. If you've been watching the channel for a while, I think it very much suits the design characteristics of these forward-thinking young Asian micro brands. I think they go hand in hand with all of these edgy materials, and this Zelos Hammerhead 2 is no exception. It does look pretty good with that double meteorite. Similarly, that milky, almost mother of pearl effect that you get from the forged carbon on the stainless steel one makes this a unique proposition. I don't think there are too many micro brands using forged carbon on their dials either. Perhaps we'll have double forged carbon next with a forged carbon bezel insert, but as it is, the fact that this one is ceramic, I think, doesn't detract from the look overall at all. The colour matching between the second hand, the ceramic bezel insert, and the etching in that crown means this one looks like a cohesive design overall, the forged carbon model. And there we are, that's the side profile of the stainless steel one on wrist. Certainly not a watch that would slip all that easily under a cuff unless you happen to be a wizard. I made that joke the last time I reviewed the Hammerhead as well. Moans and niggles, what am I going to complain about today then? Well, for the 2892 versions, did they have to make it quite so thick, given that it's one of the world's smallest mass-produced automatic movements? As I mentioned, they could have taken a couple of mil off these ones. I think that would have aided the wearability, I'm sure, without impinging on the water resistance rating. And the bracelet clasp, I talked about this in the Swordfish review. I felt in the Swordfish review the clasp was a little small. It didn't give enough aperture to slip it over the wrist. It seems that Zelos and the people who were early adopters of the Zelos Swordfish agree with me, and they remedied that by issuing a free, larger clasp to everybody who had ordered a Swordfish up to that point. I'm going to make the opposite comment with this one. I think that clasp is almost too big. Look at that. Because that little end link sticks out there, it's quite a long clasp mechanism. You've got this big piece of flat metal that doesn't curve all that much on the bottom half of your wrist. And this is the result. It doesn't quite sit flush. It doesn't sit as nice and conform to the bottom half of your wrist as perhaps it could if it was a little bit shorter. So the Swordfish was too short, this one's too long. I'm never happy, am I? And as always with Zelos's stepped pricing strategy, these look a lot more appealing now than they will on January the 2nd. I think at the launch special prices, $369 for an NH35 powered one. If you want to go for one of the basic colorways, the Black Sands I think looks great. Or the bronze one, again, pick a nice dial color. You don't have to go for the Meteorite or the Forged Carbon if you're trying to keep the cost of the watch down. $369 is a great deal on these ones. But on the whole, it's another very positive release from Zelos then, some noticeable upgrades and refinements on the Hammerhead 1 without any sign of price gouging. They continue to push the envelope in terms of their design language and their use of modern materials, which I really do appreciate. They're big, they're chunky, and that is going to limit their appeal, but for some guys, these things will be perfect. So there you have it. If you like them chunky but funky, the Hammerhead 2 might be the watch for you. As always with Zelos, the build quality is excellent. $369 entry price for one of the kind of basic stainless steel ones with the NH35 or the bronze one with the NH35. I think that is an excellent, excellent price. Do bear in mind the prices will go up on January the 1st, so if you're keen on one of these, get in before the price goes up. I hear the Mako V3 is up next. Looking forward to reviewing that one early next year. Thanks for watching. I'll see you then, if not before.